I'm Paul Johnson, I'm Director of the IFS.
Okay. Can you tell us how family-friendly you currently think UK society is?
Well, UK society has probably become more family-friendly over the last 15 years. Child poverty has fallen pretty significantly. The amount of money that we're putting into schools has gone up pretty substantially, and we've certainly moved from the bottom to close to the top of the league of childcare provision over the last 10 to 20 years. So things are certainly on the up, or have been on the up, but from a pretty low base.
And what about the impact of the past year of coalition policy making? What do you think at the big picture level that's done for families in the UK?
So everyone's got worse off over the last year. Everyone's got worse off because of tax increases, benefit cuts to come, spending cuts, very big spending cuts to come. Of the benefit cuts, they're nearly all focused on working age people, and of those, the majority of benefit recipients are families with children. So almost by definition, families with children are the ones that are being hit hardest by the benefit cuts. The spending cuts are huge. They will leave everybody worse off. What the government has done, though, is relatively protect health and relatively protect schools and preschool. So within an awful situation, those services which are most important for families have probably been hit less badly than, for example, the spending from DEFRA, from BIS, Home Office, Ministry of Justice, all of which have seen 25 to 30% cuts in their budget. Health and schools, nothing like that.
And going beyond the implications for the first year, what do you see happening for families over the next 2 or 3 years?
Well, the next 2 or 3 years are going to see all families, or most families, feeling worse off. Several things are happening. Earnings are falling in real terms, have fallen over the last year, will fall over the next year in real terms. That's going to leave all working families feeling worse off. Inflation is hitting families, and particularly lower income families, harder than others because it's energy prices and food prices going up more than anything else. Tax increases are, benefit cuts are going to continue to hit. Indexation of benefits is becoming less generous. So over the next 2 or 3 years, all of us are going to feel worse off, and families probably a bit more than others. And child poverty we certainly forecast to increase over the next 2 or 3 years, following a decade of reasonably sharp falls.
And given all of that, what steps do you think the government should be taking to mitigate some of the impact or ease the pain for families?
Well, it's doing some stuff, as I said, in terms of health and education spending. It needs to think about the distribution of cuts on benefits. I mean, one thing that we've seen, for example, is that pensioners have been entirely protected. Is that the right generational split? It's bringing in the universal credit in 3 or 4 years' time, which will benefit some families with children and hit other families with children. It might want to think about precisely how it's going to do that. And it might also want to think about the indexation of benefits. As I say, that's becoming less generous at the same time that inflation is hitting lower income people harder than it's hitting higher income people.